So welcome back to the Bootroom Podcast. It's an incredibly special day, but firstly, let's introduce Harry. Harry, welcome back.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to get started.
And do you want to explain what's going on behind us?
So we've got a special guest, José Ferreira, who has kindly enough brought in some Sporting Lisbon scarves from when they won the league last year, and we've decided to decorate the place a bit. But it looks really good, right?
It does. José, welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
And so obviously you're Portuguese, but the Welsh flag is because you played in Wales. I couldn't find a Portuguese flag, so that's my fault. So we always start off then with like your early days playing football. So could you introduce us into that?
Yeah, so I pretty much got into football with my dad. My dad was a huge, massive sporting fan. He still has a season ticket like all these years later. So he started taking me to the games as a kid. And of course, naturally, like the next progression is to just start playing. And I remember taking first couple of kicks at school, the school team. And of course, with my friends at lunchtime and friends like outside. Even, in Portugal, we have a really good like street football culture as well. So you can just turn up for kickabout on your own. And next thing you know, there's like a full-blown 11v11 game going. So it's that's kind of like how it all began. And then just progressing into like teams and just keeping in football as well throughout my whole time. So
who was your role model growing up? Who was a player that you sort of idolised and sort of modelled your own game on?
That's a good question. So I started as a striker. So progressed then into a winger. So obviously you got to say like Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, as a winger striker.
Boring answer.
But yeah. But of course, when I moved into the right back position, and there was like a couple of other players, like I tried to like look at guys like Cafu, Roberto Carlos. Loved Roberto Carlos, still do today. Actually, I've always really liked Jamie Carragher. Of course, he.
You're probably his only fan, to be fair.
No, I'm like I loved watching him play as well. Loved like the resilience, because I see like throughout my career I saw a lot of things that maybe were similar to him. He wasn't exactly like the flashiest of players or the one that like caught everyone's eye straight away. But he had the work rate, he had the determination in him, and I think that's like a big part of me as well as a player. So
you mentioned street football. I obviously want to talk about that because here there's no such thing. So you can play in the park with your friends. That's probably as far local as it goes. So in Portugal, what is that like to be in that culture?
So, I mentioned street football, but it can be anything. It can be like beach football as well. Like I remember I spent so many summers just playing beach football with my friends, and then you meet like other kids at the beach as well. And as I said, you just end up in full-blown games. And it's the same. You might go to your local like little football court, and it might be just like something with like tar, or it might nothing like exciting. Here you guys have like Power League and goals and stuff like that. We don't have anything like that there, so you might just have like little random street pitches, and the culture is really good. And I think that's one of the reasons why we develop so many technically gifted players. The fact that you just have that access to that.
I was going to ask actually, and then you sort of said it yourself. What are the sort of like areas like? Because obviously it's not great. Like in Brazil, they've got the favelas where they'll have like the really small pitches, and that's where all the talent is made from. But obviously we talk about like using jumpers as goalposts and that sort of stuff. So is that bags, anything you can find like rocks? Is that sort of what you did as well? You said playing on tar.
Yeah, of course. Like we might be playing on the road, so you might be sticking like shoes or something like that, and the ball goes into the car, and you've got to go there and like on all fours fish it out. It's it's pretty much how that works as well. But we do have like in Portuguese it's called rinks, and it is literally like a rock little football pitch, like small goals, kind of like futsal, more like. Pretty much every like neighborhood will have their local one quite close.
Okay. So what age did you start to develop into the right back role?
Actually, as a right back, I was probably around 15, I would say, 14, 15. I remember I was still playing winger for my club team, but our right back had a like pretty severe back injury at the time, so he was out for like maybe like 6 months or something like that. And I was playing right back for my school team because a lot of the older players were like forwards or wingers, and at the time I was like 13 maybe when I started playing with like the older age group. So I kind of have to start a right back, and I figured like I'm playing right back there, I might as well play right back in both teams. And then I'm not like having to learn one position in one place, another position in the other, and focusing on one thing can push me towards like professional football maybe a bit better. So that was the reasoning behind that. So I'd say it was around 14, 15.
Okay. And so in your youth then, you spent 4 years at Carcavelos in Portugal. That's obviously the first sort of like proper sort of like side that you're playing for. So what did you make of the whole thing of like getting into football?
Yeah, so actually before I went to Carcavelos, I went for 2 weeks to Sporting Lisbon. And that's when I've like first started thinking, okay, like maybe I'd like to try playing football for like a team. And Carcavelos was just the closest team to my house. So, and they had like a really good restaurant that me and my parents used to go to, and I saw the pitch there. So one day we just went like around the corner to their office and was like, oh, do you guys have any like tryouts or anything coming up? So just went there and loved my 4 years there. I had like, let's say 3 quite strong years and then 1 maybe like not so strong year. 2 Player of the Year awards while I was there as well. I was captain the team like a couple of years as well, so it was a good time there. And
Very nice. Yeah.
my first like football experience, so yeah, like proper team. It was quite good.
You mentioned food. I'm an avid food eater. I think you're an avid. I think they are all avid. So for you then, what is your favourite food? Let's go back to this specific restaurant. What was your favourite dish?
There it's the purely like grilled food.
Oh.
It's very like, it's huge in Portugal, so grilled fish. It might be like grilled sea bass, grilled I think golden bream, I think it is.
Do you have any
English, it's
sauce?
dourada in Portuguese. Not in these like
Okay.
fishes. You might have like a normal bitoque, like a Portuguese steak.
Sounds nice.
It's quite good as well. Yeah, it's just like fries, steak, and then egg on top. It's,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
We'll have
But
to
I
go.
was always like very on the fish. So
Okay.
What about those Portuguese tarts you can buy? The ones they sell, apparently they're amazing.
yeah,
What's
the custard tarts per stage nata.
Yeah,
If you ever
nata,
go
yeah,
there,
yeah.
those are they're my addiction. You know, on the off season in Portugal, I'm smashing those like pretty much on a daily basis. I can't lie.
You mentioned the last time we spoke. You said that you had salmon before a game.
Yeah.
Can you speak us through that?
I still do that. So once a nutritionist I worked with a couple of years ago, she mentioned that the omega-3 takes 48 hours to like for your system to intake it properly. Now I'm thinking in Portuguese and the words aren't translating properly. But yeah, it takes about 48 hours for it to like actually be produced as energy or released as energy. So after that, I just put it in my head, okay, 48 hours before a game, I need to have like a salmon meal, and it synthesizes at night as well. So always at dinner, I'll have a salmon 48 hours later. In theory, it should be releasing the
Any
energy.
sauce for that? Or
Yeah, sweet chili, a bit of sweet chili on it, teriyaki, why not?
teriyaki? There we go.
Yeah.
And
Whatever
was that
gets us
every
spot.
single week?
So
Like,
yeah,
it'd be a set
every-
routine that you would
in
follow.
league, yeah, for sure. It might just be superstition. I could be totally wrong here, but I mean, I have missed it before and nothing went wrong. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, because if I was given steak and chips and egg every single day or every game day, you'd eventually get bored of that. So do you not get bored of that?
No, honestly, it's when you start thinking, I stopped thinking about food at a certain point in my life where it's like, oh, I'm going to eat this because it's nice. And I started thinking like, oh, I should eat this and this because it's going to fuel my performance. And of course, it's nice to have like one cheat meal or something a week. And but you don't want to like, these are the things you can control about football. There's a lot of uncontrollables about football. So the things that you can control, like your nutrition, your sleep, your gym, what you do on your day-to-day basis. Like I was really like serious about that type of stuff, and this was just like such a minor detail in the bigger picture. I didn't get tired of it because in my mind it fueled my performance, so I had to stick with it.
You mentioned you had 3 good years and then 1 not so great. Was that at the beginning, was that at the end, or was that in the middle of the 4?
It
The
was
one
at,
where you
it
didn't-
was at the end.
Okay.
It was my last year where it was a transition year to under 19s football, and it coincided at the time there wasn't under 23s in Portugal, and that last year of my first year of under 19s coincided with a very big second year under 19 team, so a lot of older players. And I think like maybe it was just a bit of like exhaustion from being in one place for so long and a bit of comfort as well. Like, so I just needed to like go and try something different. So one of my friends joined Porto Salvo, and that's why I went over there as well.
We've got to mention what you're wearing just quickly. You're obviously wearing the global merch. Nothing better than that, right? And obviously that was a gift. We had to give Jose a gift. So could you mention to us then about Portugal and what it's like? Because for me, I've always wanted to never be in this country. I want to be anywhere but here. Is it the same for you? Do you prefer to be in Portugal, or do you prefer to be somewhere else that's not home?
It's a hard one to say. Like, of course, I love my home, and the longest I've spent. I mean, I left when I was like 17, and I came to England. So, it gets to a point where you do start missing home. You do start missing those comforts. But at the same time, there are so many footballers in Portugal. It's so saturated, and there's so much quality. And when you go abroad as a Portuguese person, and especially like thanks to possibly even guys like Ronaldo, of like as much as they've benefited us, the Portuguese player is favored in a lot of countries. So I think it was one of those I just had to go somewhere else and be like different instead of just being another option.
With how popular football is in Portugal, is it crazy to think how many good players with so much potential don't actually make it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's you can go to the amateur leagues in Portugal, the distritais, and you can see players that should easily be playing much higher levels. I mean, even when I was in the third tier there were players that I was playing with that I thought these guys should be playing would be playing like League One Championship if they were, found. But because there's so much talent, there's so much competition, it's physically it's impossible to keep an eye on everyone,
Yeah.
and to be aware of everyone. Finland's a good example of this actually, because I played with this guy that he started playing senior football when he was like 15, 16, and I watched him play as a midfielder, and I thought if he was in England, he'd be a Cat 1 academy player, 100%, no doubt about this. Eventually, he signed for Hoiko, the biggest team in Finland, and they actually paid for him from like a third or fourth tier team.
Okay.
And when they went, in his announcement, they said, we have no idea who this guy was. We have no idea that this guy existed. We have no idea how this guy isn't already in the Finnish national team. We just missed him.
That's
And
crazy.
that was his announcement.
That's a business idea to definitely be had. I reckon if you started a business and got these guys from the low entities, because these guys have heard me say it all the time, I always feel as if in Africa and Asia specifically, there's probably elsewhere in the world, if you take the best players that have never been, found out about,
Scouted.
you'd have a great team there. So maybe we're one of those people. I think we're probably good enough to play in there. Don't you think?
Of course we are, yeah.
So when you were growing up in the academy and the experiences, what's their academies? Can you compare it to England, perhaps?
In Portugal?
In Portugal, yeah.
As in like the level of the academy?
Yeah. What's their structure like over there?
So you have like teams like Sporting, Benfica, Porto, of course, have like amazing academy facilities. Easily like Cat 1, easily up there. Braga is like being massively developed, and they're putting a lot of investment in. Actually, their president's doing an incredible work at like financially keeping the club debt free and everything. They're probably one of the best cases to look at in Portugal at the minute. I think Trincão's transfer at the time a couple of years ago, I think it was to Barcelona, I could be wrong.
I'm sure it was.
It was,
Yeah. I think that was really a big help for them, and he's managed things very, very carefully, and he's done quite good. So those I would say like Cat 1 academies. There's many other clubs that are probably like lacking behind in infrastructure, and it's difficult to compare. But I think the biggest strength in Portugal is the coaching emphasis, the quality of the coaches. Coaches have to go through like university education the majority of the time to get their C degree, and then they'll do their internship, get the B degree, the UEFA levels. I think that's the biggest strength, is the knowledge of the coaches.
When comparing academies, we had a guest that's come in before, and he said that he found maggots in his food at his academy. But I imagine that's not something that you would have found in Portugal.
Wait, where was this?
This was at Wimbledon, I'm sure.
At AFC Wimbledon,
Ben
I think.
Mason, yeah.
Oh my days.
There were
yeah,
maggots found in the food. but-
And to make it worse, it was microwave food and had a maggot in it.
So it would have been obviously packed with it in it
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah. Oh my
But
God, no,
I
I don't
imagine
think that's like something you'd experience
Yeah.
in Portugal. No, we take our food seriously. You'd be very happy with what you said before. We take our food very seriously. And even like, I remember Sporting Academy, the food was incredible. I have absolutely no complaints. Even when I was in that third tier team, we had like the restaurant to serve the food and everything. And it was perfect. No complaints there. Definitely no maggots.
Yeah. That's probably extra nutrients though, isn't it?
Maybe they were trying to hit the
if you can
protein
say
goals
that,
like
yeah.
quite strictly.
They couldn't afford salmon, so they got some maggots.
Yeah.
So Zaid and I went out to Tottenham Women a couple months ago, and they serve some brilliant food out there. It feels like we're the professionals, right? So I suppose when you're getting this high-level food so early on in your career, does that help you in your game? Does that help you? Because if you are having maggot-ridden food, you're probably not going to perform to your best standard.
Yeah, I mean, well, if I found maggots in my food, I'd probably be like not eating them, which would of course mean that you're not nutritionally prepared for whatever's to come next. But to be fair, here I was at Fleetwood for a little bit, and the food that they were serving us was like, I thought that was very good. I didn't have definitely no experience with maggots in my food there. And I'm pretty sure they put like quite a lot of effort into their nutrition. I don't know if it's like that across all academies in the UK, but at least at Pullfoot everything was like incredible. So I cannot speak like going back to the question. I cannot speak that like if doing your nutrition wrong actually like helps or not, because I don't know. At least for me, what I did worked for me. I don't know how it would be because I didn't not do it. You know.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right?
When it comes to talking about football, then something we do like to ask our guests is how do they balance sort of work around football? Obviously, it's important to keep academically, aware and everything. So when you went to Liverpool Foundation College, obviously you're doing BTEC football and coaching. So what was it like to balance football and your work at the same time?
So actually, at that time, I had because I'd already graduated from school in Portugal. Okay. I had a lot less pressure in the education side of things because I already did have my my like sixth form degree and everything. Like I was already accepted in universities and everything. I just delayed it to do this and see how that went. I think the biggest challenge for me was actually after when I started going into football full time. So that was when I was in Oliveira do Hospital, and I still had my masters to finish. Of course, with COVID, everything went online, and even playing like non-league as well. Having to like it was training part time, of course, but still having to go to education as well. It's quite difficult to master both things, and sometimes it does feel like you can't put your full effort into both of those and still be like mentally sane, getting enough rest, getting enough like the right food and everything. It does get quite difficult. But actually now there's a very good case. João Simões, who's obviously playing for Sporting Lisbon, he's also getting his, I want to say it's a business degree. And you watched him, he's playing Champions League football 2 nights ago, and he's also getting his business degree. So I think that's, it must be possible, but because there's guys doing it. And there's another guy that played in Portugal called Tarantini. He played for Rio Ave, and he's actually a coach now. And for many years in Rio Ave, he got countless university degrees, countless masters. He got his PhD, and he's a very famous case in Portugal that and he encourages players to also get their education as well as playing. So it is possible. There's guys that did it. It's just definitely not easy.
Yeah,
I know there's a few footballers here. There's one that plays in League Two that's a builder, who's now a builder. There's one in Stevenage who's works on houses and things like that. So it happens in England, but maybe less so. Jurgen Klopp took over in 2016-17, and I suppose for you were there at that time, and I know you maybe didn't directly work with him, but I suppose being in that environment would have changed things perhaps when Klopp came in?
Motivationally speaking, like there was kind of like a big emphasis on that, the Liverpool way. I think that was the biggest. There's like it felt for us, even in the city, like day to day, it felt like a big spike in morale. I think there was just a lot of optimism at the time. I think it could be influenced by his presence, of course. I think the players that I met at the time from the first team, like Daniel Sturridge, Emre Can, Sadio Mane, Klavan, Matip, they were all like quite like they spoke very highly of their experiences. So I think his presence there was, of course, results-wise, clearly it was. So there was a factor to it as well.
How long did it take you to obviously find the balance from moving from Portuguese football to English football? Because it's very different, obviously. English football, stereotypically, a long ball, park the bus, 4-4-2, that sort of thing. So how did you find the change?
Yeah, and I can say I was physically really not ready for the first like couple of months in England. And I was like a very Portuguese player. I had like the intensity, which isn't so common in the Portuguese player and is quite common in English football. Like physically intense, like I like to get stuck in, I like to get involved, so that was like quite applicable to here. But playing one game in like sunny weather and a nice Saturday afternoon in Portugal is one thing. And I remember one of my first games we went to play in Blackpool, and it was just soaking wet, rain everywhere. Have you ever watched Goal, the movie?
No.
So yeah, you should watch Goal. It's incredible. But there's this one scene where this Mexican guy that then goes into the States and then goes to Newcastle, and he's just playing, and it's just rain everywhere, and he's slipping everywhere. And that was me. I looked like a deer. I didn't have the right boots. It was just like a mess. And I remember I got put on, and then I got like pulled off like 30 minutes later maybe, because I was just slipping everywhere. Yeah. I was just like completely out of my depth. But it was my first experience with that weather, playing in mud, playing in this type of situation. So I think that was the biggest adjustment. And then, of course, the coaches were there to help. I had an amazing coach at the time, John McMahon. He was at Morecambe, and now I've lost track of where he is, but he's still involved with some either National League or Football League team. You can look that up after. Yeah. But yeah,
I recognize the name.
I think he might have worked with Benitez, like Rafa Benitez, a couple of years before as well. So, and he was like super experienced, super knowledgeable. So I think that was the best coach for me to be involved with in my first year coming from Portugal, because he just has so much knowledge in him, and he was an incredible help.
Well, I suppose Brexit changed all of that, right? Because those people coming in to try and play in these academies, I think it would have affected you, right? Had Brexit happened at that time, would you have been able to come to Liverpool?
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Or at least I would have had maybe to come as a student and get my student visa and everything. But I remember there was some sort of law, because there was like developments to Brexit as well. So the first Brexit came, and it was very harsh on the football like rules and regarding the GB and the points and the point system and everything. And then after they relaxed it a little bit, they started the slots and everything for players. Yeah. So I don't know how those changes then like affected everything, because I wasn't here anymore. But originally, I think it would have been quite complicated to come and play any sort of football here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, being physically fit is a big part of being a footballer, to stay active and stay healthy and everything. So, obviously, you're only college students, but what is it like to sort of have that, like, the fitness side to it? How intense are the gym sessions, that sort of thing?
Well, I've seen, like, different experiences. So, when I was working in England, I think there was a lot of over exertion, a lot of doing too much sometimes. Whilst when I was playing in Portugal, I felt like things were so like managed to every detail. So like the RP, like the efforts and everything, every session was like so carefully managed in Portugal. And here in England, I remember we played one game one night, so I played 90 minutes, and then the next morning we did a yo-yo test, or a beep test actually it was.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, okay, I've just run like 14, 15K the night before, and less than 24 hours later, I'm doing a beep test. That feels excessive, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like maybe our effort, like our physical, the intensity probably wasn't like managed that well, or the workload wasn't managed that well. So the sessions are always like intense depending to what you need at the time. So preseason is one thing, mid-season is another thing. Do you have 2 games a week? Do you have 1 game a week? So everything is like quite well managed, I'd say, in the majority of teams.
Okay. How did you actually end up at Liverpool?
Actually, it was a friend of mine that was meant to come. And I'm staying at his house right now here in Richmond. Yeah, shout out Chris. Yeah, he found this program the Harry mentioned before, and he applied, he got in, and then he came, and then he asked me like, would you like to come as well? So I sent my application in, did a couple of interviews as well. I had to send my videos in, waited a little while, then heard back, and the option came to come. And it was like quite easier for me. Of course, I had my education and everything, so it was just a year to like focus on football and just see where it went. So it was quite helpful, yeah.
You spoke very highly of Fleetwood's academy and the facilities. But obviously, Liverpool are a much bigger club than Fleetwood. But did you sort of notice that clearly, or was it not too? Was it really hard to notice that when moving from Liverpool to Fleetwood?
Well, the facilities that Liverpool had at the time were very different from the facilities that Fleetwood have today. Well, not very different, but somewhat different. At the time, remember that the first team was at Melwood, and then the Liverpool's at Kirkby. I think in any context, it's always good for the academy to see the first team, and to be around the first team. You don't have to be in direct contact with them, but like at least be able to see them.
Yeah,
it gives you something like to work towards, you know. Fleetwood, you didn't have that issue. Everything's a pull foot, so you could be training like the 23s could be training here, the 18s could be training over there, and then the first team could be over there. And at any point, you might just go stand in they have the bar and restaurant. You could just go stand there and look and just watch the first team either train or play a training game or something.
Okay.
And I think that direct contact for me was like, it's quite important to have it. Yeah. And it's sometimes after you might be eating and the first team players might be coming in, you might be communicating with them. I like to have that connection. I know in Portugal it was the same, because I remember with Sporting, it might be that we were just finishing lunch and then suddenly the first team's coming in, and you're like crossing paths with all these guys. Yeah. And it's quite cool. I remember at the time the biggest player was probably Miguel Veloso. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was probably big in the noughties and like the 2000s, and then maybe in early 2010s. But he was obviously huge Portuguese player, and he was big at Sporting as well. So it was nice to be around guys like that as well. So
I suppose if you let's say you, Harry, were at Tranmere Rovers and all these players came in, what would your response be when all they're coming in?
I think I'd want to get to know them as players, but also just understand like how hard is it and how much work does it put in to get to where you are.
I'll be asking for follows on Instagram.
What do you do?
No, but to be fair though, I think that's a good point, because I know Klopp, I'm sure he changed it where he did bring everyone. Is that correct? He brought people over from the academy to sort of try and integrate them into some way of life in the first team. But for you at Fleetwood then, what was your ambition there? Was it laid out quite clear for you?
Well, I was only there for a couple of months. It was in the summer, and it was a stage between like going back to my last year of university. Yeah. At the time I was living like a couple of minutes away from from Fleetwood, so I knew a coach there. Kind of just got in touch and went over to train for a little while with them, and it was like mainly to like have the day-to-day full-time training again, get a bit of fitness, get a couple of games in, and then see if then they could progress me into some teams, either like the partner clubs that they have, or because they have had a couple of partner clubs. I want to say Ireland and Dubai and a couple of
Dubai.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of see where that went as well, mostly.
Obviously, you were present on the pitch, but you also did quite a lot of work off the pitch as well, helping like the academy with the media and operational involvement. Was that something that you were really interested in and that you really wanted to do?
Flied, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was like during my university degree, we had a work placement, and I ended up taking my work placement with AFC Filed, because I was watching quite a lot of AFC Filed games at the time. I ended up like doing loads of work with them for like 2 years, and they actually rotated the head of media quite a lot, but I always just like got passed on to the next head of media, and it was something I was enjoying quite a lot to do. It was kind of exploring like a career outside of playing as well, because really at the time I was only playing non-league and like counties level, Northern Premier League level, so it was still like in a way where I had to think about other stuff beyond football. It was only really after I went to Portugal that then it's solidified. Okay, you will have a career in football. It might not be like a 20-year career like in Real Madrid or something, but you can live off it, you can enjoy it, and have that experience. So
before you went back home to Portugal, I know that you were at Flight. So was there ever like you were trying to get the media team to like put a word into the manager and sign you?
I didn't actively like try to put a word into it. Like I didn't want to make it awkward, because it would have been. There were sometimes like jokes about it. I remember once we were filming a scene with our manager at the time, Dave Challoner, and I can't remember what happened, and this was crazy because I was like wearing a full-on suit. I had to wear like a suit to work, and someone kicked the ball up in the air, and as it went at the air, I just took it down with my Oxfords, and that's when the jokes like started. Oh, maybe we should sign him, but it wasn't like a thing where I was trying to hint at it, like sign me. Of course, I was playing with other teams at the time as well, so I was playing non-league, and I lived in Liverpool at the time, so the commute was actually quite a lot. So I was playing a bit closer to home. So
was that quite mentally exhausting, the commute every day back and forth, or was it something that you didn't mind because obviously you were enjoying what you were doing?
I
so
totally
much?
didn't mind it. Yeah, it was. I remember sometimes I was waking up at like 4 or 5 to go to the gym and then go to Fylde, and then if they had a match day, it could be that I was getting back at like 1 a.m. or something.
Very committed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was a really huge opportunity for me, and I met like so many really cool people, like the players, the coaching staff, and I learned quite a lot. So it's quite. I think it was really good. Yeah.
So what was that like? Because I know in Liverpool, I've been to Liverpool once. Have you ever been to Liverpool? So have you been? Yeah, Zaid's been. Have you ever been?
No.
Okay. So
I've been to Everton, not Liverpool.
Okay. Oh, so Merseyside.
Yeah.
What's it like to live in that culture? Because I know the way of life up there is so different to us down here.
I quite liked it. I thought it was a very homely city. I loved my time in Liverpool. Like one of the main reasons I left was just because I had been there for so long that it was time to try something different. And at that time, I felt like I had a good opportunity to go to a lower league in Portugal and like build from there as well. So, but Liverpool as a city, it's for me one of my favorite cities in the UK. So I would probably still love to go back and visit again. Probably not live, like that chapter is in the past, but I really enjoyed Liverpool. I think it's an amazing city.
I know it's not a city, but how does this area match up to Liverpool?
Harlington?
Yeah. Nowhere near, probably.
Different vibes, though. This is like very like city,
Yeah.
Liverpool, you're at the coast as well. You got like the Albert Docks and everything.
Yeah.
It's a different experience. Of course, it's still a city, but... And then I feel like the suburbs of Liverpool just feel a little closer as well. So it's easy to get out of the centre and see something completely different. So
upon your return then to Hospital in Portugal, were you ready to go back to Portugal, or did you really sort of want to actually secretly stay in England for a bit longer?
It was a really tough situation because at the time it was like during COVID, right? And during that time of COVID where people were like washing their plastic bags for the lettuces, and we didn't really know what it was, and you'd be like pressing the elevator with the elbow, and it was just that weird time. So I got in touch with like a lot of clubs from a lot of countries, and the main countries I had interest in was Cyprus, Malta, and then Portugal. Portugal was like a logical step, of course, because my family is from there. And I had still a couple of contacts with people like Carlos Pereira, who was an assistant manager for Sporting for many years, and was actually really involved, along with his brother Aurelio Pereira, who sadly passed away now, in discovering Cristiano Ronaldo amongst the majority of the biggest Sporting Lisbon and Portuguese talents in the last years. I'm pretty sure he's like the pioneer that invented scouting in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
And the way he did it was actually just sending a bunch of letters to a bunch of Sporting fans. Oh, do you want to check players for Sporting, So it's quite
That's smart.
It's quite a cool little story. But yeah, through them, of course, it was easy to come up with a couple of contacts in Portugal. So
absolutely,
I kind of did want to go back.
Something we found. Oh, go on.
No, what are you going to tell me?
I was going to say something that we found really quite inspiring was you sent over nearly 300 emails during that pandemic time.
Yeah.
That shows your dedication to want to get back into it.
Yeah. I mean, I had to explore something different, and I just thought what could work for me, and I thought this I'll just try this and see how it goes. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the case of Nick Humphreys. He runs Train Effective now on TikTok and everything. Yeah, so he did pretty much the same. He contacted a bunch of teams and somehow went from Australia to the Netherlands, I think. So I saw that as well, and I was like, why don't I just try that and see how it goes? And there was quite a lot of clubs got back to me, which I was surprised. I think the Nordics were the best countries to get a reply from. But then I had the ones in Cyprus and the ones in Malta as well. But there was, of course, given COVID as well, a lot of teams weren't even available to trial people. They were just saying, "Oh, it's like we can't really bring players in. We're gonna go with the squad we have because COVID. We don't have the conditions to do it. All sorts of situations, or maybe they just didn't want me. But if they could have just said it like that, you know, why like we'll go through a whole excuse. But yeah, I think it was just a very uncertain time for a lot of people.
When have you ever written out 300 emails before?
Not quite that many, no.
Okay, so I did it in COVID as well. Actually, I pretended to be a football fan of every club in like from
Asking for
Finland,
free stuff.
asking for free stuff.
Yeah.
My most viewed YouTube video actually, which probably says a lot about me. But so 300, I probably did about 300, but I made a mistake where on the email when you're sending it to people, so you can see who's. I just put 2 in every single club that you could think of. So if someone replied, everyone would have got the reply.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have been a fan of 300 clubs.
That might have affected how many responses you got.
I still got a lot of signed stuff though. But so for you then, did you personalize your emails? Because I suppose this was just before ChatGPT. So.
Yeah. I pretty much I had like the template email and I would personalize it, change the name like to this person and like. I never said, I really want to play for your team. Like since I was 4, I've dreamed of playing for this 4-tier team in Sweden. I can't say that really.
You have to do what you have to do, though, right?
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I tried to like personalize a little bit. It wasn't like a long email as well. It was just like, I played here, here, and here. I would like to go to your country and try out and see how it goes. And yeah, it was pretty much along those lines. And I did personalize it to each person I emailed, so it's quite time consuming.
I've always wanted to play for Hayes and Yeading.
Oh yeah, me too. Obviously, you had limited first minutes at Hospital, but you were constantly praised by your manager for your development. So was that something that you didn't mind too much because you know yourself that you're improving each day? Yeah,
no, I was totally okay. I knew that was going to happen as well. I mean, I was one of the youngest in the team. I was probably one of the most like inexperienced at that level as well, because a lot of the guys in that team had already played like many games and minutes in that league as well. And Oliveira had the goal of avoiding relegation as well. So usually, let's say 9 out of 10 times, if you're trying to avoid relegation, it's not the time you think, let's launch out the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds in, and I'm sure they will avoid relegation for us, It doesn't always work like that. It's time to rely on probably the most experienced players. So,
for saying that though, I don't often give my opinion too heavily in these podcasts, but today I am. I know with the younger players in teams, they often try a lot harder than your average professional footballer, but I suppose in the 4th or 3rd tier, they are still trying to work for their career to keep going on. You ended up going to Wales. We've been to Wales, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
We had a great time in Wales, but obviously you went there in the Cymru, is that how you say it?
Cymru, isn't it?
Cymru.
I'm not too sure.
So in the top flight of Finland, of Wales. So what was that like? How did you get the move there?
Yeah, so originally I was actually really close to going to another team, and they had a B team at the time, and it was like I think they were in the championship at the time, I want to say, or maybe, no, I think it was probably the championship, and they had a B team, and the whole idea was to go there to that B team. And to the agent that was sorting it 2 days before I was meant to sign, I kind of already had everything like sorted to move over, like the apartment and everything. 2 days before I was meant to sign, they were like, someone else became available and they're going to go with that option instead. And I totally get it. That guy was an Arsenal release, so it's a bit like, no disrespect, Oliver do Hospital, I love you guys, but Arsenal, Oliver do Hospital, it's like hard to compete,
Yeah.
And even though it was like just for a B team, and like a lot of these B teams at the time were signing like non-league talents, and it wasn't like that outlandish, but yeah, since that fell through, then I had nothing, and I was back to like, am I gonna send like 300 emails again? Probably don't really want to do that. I could potentially go back to Oliveira, but at the time I was adamant about coming back to England. So, and then Kevin Druids came out of nowhere. Wales kind of just came out of nowhere. The same agent called me and he was like, they are looking for players. Do you want to go over there? I kind of just got in the car and drove over and tried out, and I think that I signed on the first day I tried out, so it was all good. Yeah.
And not only is that another club, it's another country. So you've gone from England to Portugal to Wales. So again, does a Welsh style of football differ from Portuguese and English? And if so, how much?
Yeah, very much from Portugal, I would say. Maybe something closer to English football. It's very but English, I still think the English, let's say EFL, Prem Championship, like carries a bit more like thoughts about the technical side and the tactical side, and in the Welsh Premier League it can be very physical, it can be very intense. It's again a lot of direct football, a lot of like jumping for headers, and of course I'd had that year in Oliver do Hospital, which even though I didn't play so much, the coach didn't like José Ferreira, who is now like coaching in the Portuguese First League. He was a huge person to like improve me as a player. So technically I really improved in that year at Oliver do Hospital. and I already had like the physicality that I developed in England in the previous years. So it was kind of a way I could put everything together. I was a bit more tactically aware. I was a bit more like technically stronger. I was like still had the physical side. I was fast, so I could take that to Wales. But unfortunately, in Wales, like just a couple of games in, I suffered probably the only like serious injury I've ever had, and I was out for like months. So
What injury was it?
At first, we thought it was actually a hernia. We weren't like entirely sure what it was because it happened when I was warming up. I took a shot and I just felt like a big pain here in the abdominal area. And we were actually not like, still to this day, I'm not entirely sure what happened. But it was just some sort of tear or something here that wasn't healing. And for like, I remember the first couple of weeks, even to get out of bed, I was like slowly like stepping off the bed and everything. So it was quite tough. There was no way I was going to play any sort of football, and it just wasn't getting better. It wasn't getting better. But Kevin at the time had a very difficult situation. Of course, the club later on ended. Now they've come back. They're back in the Welsh football, from what I've read. So I think that was kind of like the start of the shaky years of Kevin Druids. And we didn't have a physiotherapist at the time. So the physio, there was like a club doctor, a physio or something, but he was actually cycling to Australia in some sort of charity cycle. So I didn't meet him, so I don't actually know the full story.
Journey, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't actually know what was going on like completely there. But there wasn't really anyone to take care of me when I had the injury, so I had to like pay for it myself and go take care of myself because I still wanted to play football. So, but it became very like mentally draining, that whole process. So.
You go to Australia. We know someone who's doing that. That Spencer guy.
Oh yeah, he vlogs it all. He vlogs it all on social media and stuff like
He's
that.
cycling to
To Australia.
Now.
As we speak, he'll be on his way somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
my days! I'm gonna have to look up this.
We might have to do it. Should we do a Bootroom one?
Cycle
It's
to
a lot of
Australia.
commitment, wouldn't it?
Have you know in Peppa Pig they've got the cycle, but it's all connected to one big one.
Tandem.
Have you ever seen that?
Tandem.
We're just cycling to Australia.
You get 5 people tandem for all of you.
So when you were in Wales, then I know that obviously the top flight. If you finish in a good spot, you could be in Europe. I know that obviously there's that thing of Swansea in English football, Cardiff are in English football, Newport as well, Merthyr. So it's we went to Merthyr. So was there ever the potential that you could have stayed in Wales? Was there potential you could have played in Europe?
Well, of course, I at the time I left on the transfer deadline day to Finland. There was like I was looking at like National League North teams at the time. I was trying to get into National League North when like a couple of teams got in touch and we spoke about the possibility. But a friend of mine was coaching Finland, coaching in Finland, not coaching Finland. I'm not eligible for the Finnish national team yet, but yeah,
Are you trying to get
yeah, and probably not. So but yeah, so he was coaching. My friend was coaching in Finland, Kajani Haka, and he gave me a call. Like we were talking about it, the possibility, and I was like, I'm in the Welsh Premier League. Like I'm probably not going to go to Finland right now. But this was like maybe a month before he called me again, and he said, "All right, do you want to come to Kajani Haka?" And actually, you interviewed him, Luis.
Yeah, they follow me still.
Yeah, Luis, top guy. One of my best friends, and also one of the best coaches I've worked with. So Luis called me, and he's now told me the story that he called me as a joke, because he didn't think I'd say yes. But I was so saturated of Wales. I was so tired of everything that was going on. And they were going in preseason. I felt like I needed to go through preseason again. And I was like, 20-minute drive from Wrexham to Chester, because I was living in Wrexham at the time. And I decided, I'll come to Wales. And he was even like, you don't want to hear like the conditions or anything. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just go. Send me the contract. I'll sign it. It'll be fine.
Bit of a funny question.
Yeah.
How many sheep do you see in Wales?
How many sheep did I see in Wales? Well, we drove to like quite a lot of games. So I was driving a lot of times from like Wrexham to Bala, Wrexham to Aberystwyth, Wrexham to Newtown.
I know that place.
I saw a considerable amount of sheep, I'd say, yes. It's a lot of fields. Actually, it was quite a beautiful country, to be fair.
It is.
I
It's
really
like the
liked it,
valleys and everything you've got. It's a wonderful country.
I thought it was really nice.
We don't get
I loved living in Wrexham. And it was at the time that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney actually came to their first game in Wrexham. And we had a free weekend. Or maybe we had a game and I was injured and it was really far and I didn't really want to go on the trip. That might have been what it was. And I lived 2 minutes from the racecourse stadium, so I was like, do you know what? I'll go watch a Wrexham game today. And it coincided with the first game that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney came, because I remember walking to it, and there was this big commotion in like this like retail park that there was there, and apparently they were just there taking pictures, and people were obviously mobbing them. And I didn't realize it was them at the time. But when I went into the stadium and Ryan Reynolds came out and did a whole talk, and then I just saw him and Rob McElhenney just walk past like the steps going back up. I was like, I can't believe this. Deadpool's one of my favorite movies as well. So this was insane that I had this experience. So
You're a big movie fan.
considerable, yeah.
Yeah. do you watch movies?
Not really.
No, I don't. It must be an English thing because I don't know a lot. Do you guys watch movies? No, you do. A lot of
Series are like much more popular here, aren't they? I always got that vibe.
Yeah, no, I think so
definitely.
as well. When you were at Hacker, I'm sure that's when we last spoke.
Yeah,
But then in 2022, so I'm not quite sure. But I'm sure they follow me on Instagram. So what a great team that is. But that's when we were speaking about before when you play inside in Finland, right?
Yeah. So pretty much the whole of preseason, and if you're unlucky, you might get the first couple of games of in season in the bubbles in the halls. And it's just it is quite different from playing outdoors. I think it affects like even the way you breathe, everything. It just feels different inside. And it might be in some cases if your indoor hole isn't like the best, it might be actually colder inside the hole than it is outside the hole. So there's some holes that are amazing and you don't have that issue. Other holes where you really do have that issue. So it kind of depends what town you go to play in, and yeah, it's quite different.
Talk to us about the Finnish style of football then, because it's another style of football, it's another country. And how does that differ from Welsh, English, Portuguese? Is it more, sort of like possession based? Is it wing play, that sort of thing?
Yeah. I do think they favor quite a like direct football. I think they're very, very into their high pressing, very into like the physical side of the game as well. There's a really big emphasis on like mass tests, the physical tests. I think the Cooper test I've done a couple of times there as well. They really love that type of stuff. In Portugal, we don't really love that type of stuff very much. We like a lot of on the ball work, so it's different in that aspect. What I've noticed is in Finland that technically speaking, I've seen so many like technically strong players, and I look at Finland and I think, wow, these guys have like so much potential. But from a governance point of view, and actually even from some of the issues that I've had recently this year, it's just re-emphasized how organizationally so behind the Finnish Football Federation might be with certain things. And they are at a point now where if they just make the right changes right now, I think they could launch Finnish football for the future in a really strong way. But if they don't do that right now, they will fall a little bit behind because there is quality, there is potential. Their coaching education, I think, is really good. They have facilities. They have amazing facilities pretty much in every town. It's like usually even council facilities, so the clubs might not even have to pay very much for it. But organizationally, structurally, strategically, there's a couple of changes that they will have to make.
Yeah. I know only have a few Finnish players, Timo Pukki and Rob Taylor, but you don't really get too many in England.
Rob Taylor, the most Finnish name you could possibly have, right?
Even in the National League North, the National League South, on some instances you will travel and you will have to sleep over at hotels and you get free food and whatever. In Finland, is that the same from where you were?
Depends on the club.
Okay.
Not every club has the financial capacities to do that. And I know, for example, teams from the north that are playing now in the Ykkönen, the third tier, and they might be traveling on the same day to like Helsinki instead of like staying the night before. So Kokkola to Helsinki, for example. That's one of the cities I lived in, Kokkola, so I use this as an example, can be like a 5-6 hour drive. Oulu, where I am now, might be like something like 6-7 hours, 8 hours maybe. Like if you're stopping, then increasing, of course. Kajaani to Helsinki would have been a very, very long drive as well. It's about 6-7 hours again. So if you're not like staying in a hotel, it makes life very difficult if you got to play a game after that. So, and a lot of teams don't do the hotel night before. I was lucky that the teams that I played for, well, I played for Kajaani Haka for a very long time, and if it was a long game, we would make that effort. So
it was during your spell in Finland that you scored your first isolated senior goal, and when you score, it's a great feeling. What was your celebration like?
Yeah, well, I remember like I just sent out my like little heart to my fiance Emilia at the time.
Okay.
We were just boyfriend and girlfriend, no baby yet as well. So, but it was kind of like an ongoing joke in the team that I just never score goals. And then like it finally happened, and 2 goals in the same game as well.
Oh really?
Day, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What sort of goals are they like?
Well, the first one, I remember like this guy that actually I helped bring to Kajaani Haka. He was playing in the Malta second league, and we brought him over to play. He switched the ball to our striker, our young 16, 17-year-old striker, who then like moved it to me on the right side and made like a run. And I just found myself on the edge of the box, and because the striker had played the ball from me, like quite close to the halfway line or just a little bit ahead, I looked and he wasn't like was still lagging behind a little bit, so I couldn't like cross it to him. So I just had to take a shot, and it just went like boof, top corner, and it felt really good. The second goal I'm more proud of, though. I was in the middle of the box, and don't ask me why I was there, because I'm a right back. I'm not entirely even sure why I was there. I think I just started like making my way in, and our striker had gone out to the wing, and then he just crossed the ball, and I just like healed it. Healed it with the back in, and I couldn't believe it. Like from never scoring a goal for your second goal being that, it's like for me it was insane.
What was the celebration?
That I just ran to the guy that crossed it, because I'm pretty sure that might have been his first game in Finland since he had just come over. And I remember joking with the agent that brought him over, who's a friend of mine as well. And I remember calling him and thinking, "Oh, you had to send Fahad over so I could score 2 goals because this." And he started the play to the striker as well. That led to my goal, my first goal. So it literally was. This guy had to come for me to score the goals. You know.
I know in Finland specifically they have a big emphasis on the culture there. Is that correct in saying so? Like they are quite big on football. They are quite big on all of this. And from what I can gather, you're quite the famous man from where you are in Finland now. Is Oulu? Is that how you say it?
In Oulu, I'm not sure in Oulu.
I think you are. I think you are.
I think because I've been around in the northern football for quite a bit. I think my name is like pops up. People, it's familiar. In Finnish football isn't like a massive community. I mean, ice hockey is the main sport in Finland, and they're very good at it as well. So. I think within football, it's quite easy for you to be aware that, X player is playing even in the 5th league of the south of Helsinki. If there's like a Brazilian guy there, I'll probably know who he is. He might have heard my name. It's not a big community. And of course, I went to the Players Union camp 2 years in a row. So then your name pops up like regularly as well. So I think probably be more known in Kajaani. I don't think I left a massive impression of myself in Kokkola.
According to social media.
I don't know. In Kokkola, like maybe not. In Kajaani, in Oulu, maybe. Probably Kajaani more.
When you transferred then to GBK Kokkola, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
They were a promotion challenging side. So did you find the intensity stepped up quite a bit?
Well, it was also like a league higher, and at the time I had like really had the ambition. Okay, I want to play the second tier. I want to play the first tier. So and it gave me an idea. Maybe with these guys, if they go up, it'll be possible. There was a lot of demand, but I think that the exhaustion from the pressure hit the general team. Of course, before it hit me, because I was new there, I didn't like feel that pressure as much.
Yeah.
But I think for everybody else, because it had been so constant, so ongoing for as long as it was, I think they got tired of the football like quite early on. So the last couple of games were really tough for us, and we just ended up dropping and ended up missing out on the promotion that really, to be honest, those guys, probably more than me because they were there from the beginning, really deserved.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the main reasons I went there as well is, I don't know if you guys checked the squad list, but Rafael Toro was there. Toro was a Brazilian champion for Flamengo.
Okay.
So he's like a huge name in Brazil and a huge name in Finnish football as well. And he's had like such an amazing career all over like Brazil, Finland. And I wanted to play with a guy like that. So, and shout out Toro. He was a really, really amazing guy. So it was a good experience.
Unlike on FIFA career mode, I must admit, when you first leave a club, what is it like for you? Are you on LinkedIn? Because I know there's tools out there now, but it's not probably as easy as just transferring. You've got to transfer family, you've got to say goodbye to friends, house. So your life can change club to club, even if it is in the same country. So when you are leaving a club, what's the period? How long do you know that you're going to leave? And then what do you do?
So the only like real big transfer I had, let's say, was Kajaani Haka to GBK. And Kajaani Haka to GBK happened like over a series of days, let's say, like nearly a week, where it was like, it's going to happen, now it's not going to happen, now it's going to happen, now it's not going to happen. And then I finally went to the office and I was like, I want to go. Not because I'm not happy at Kajaani. I love Kajaani. It was one of my favorite cities, and no disrespect to any other club I played for. Kajaani Haka was the club I felt the most love for. So it was kind of like I wanted to go mainly because I still wanted to try and go higher, and they looked like they were going to go to the second tier. But then there was another factor, which was the negotiation between both teams. I had a contract in Haka. They had been paying for me. They, of course, felt the need that they had to be compensated. So I was kind of just like waiting for that. And GBK didn't really want to pay compensation. So they were both just having this little debate. Eventually, they reached an agreement, and it was kind of like, all right, I was in the office with the chairman, and they were like, all right, it's done. You want to go? I was like, I want to go. Okay, you can go. It's done. And I literally of course, like thanked them for everything, like hugs whatsoever. Some tears were shed and whatever. And then I went home, packed my stuff, got in the car, and drove to Kokkola. And it was like same day, pretty much.
So quite swift then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
but this is a different situation. And I was alone in Finland, so I can imagine that if someone's got their family, their kids, and I've seen like players in that situation where they're not finding a contract and they're starting to stress, like, how am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to feed my family? So I can imagine that's a much difficult situation. Well, that's like my situation now. If I have to move to another city, well, we're comfortable in Oulu. We're looking at buying a house in Oulu. It's now it's like the demands to move to another city are much different, and it can't be overnight like the Kajaani to Gebiko was. So,
just out of interest, obviously you're a big movie fan. Now, Jamie wanted to ask you this, but
I'll for sure.
Now, do you play Football Manager?
Oh yeah,
course
way
he
too
does.
much. I'm absolutely obsessed with Football Manager.
Okay.
When I first like popped up as a player in Football Manager, that was one of the most like peak.
I made it moments.
Yeah. And I remember at the time, like it coincided with Kevin Druids has just sacked their coach, so a lot of people start the unemployed challenge on Football Manager. Kevin Druids was one of the unemployed teams. A lot of people that started with no like badges or like little badges or whatever ended up at Kevin Druids. So I was watching like all these YouTube streamers like playing with me as like in the squad. It was absolutely bizarre. I actually ended up making friends with one of them, this Neil O'Donnell Wallins, he's known as in Australia, and I actually sent him some Kevin Druids gear and then sent him some Kajaani gear, and we're still in touch today. And it actually started because I saw him do this like unemployed challenge in the Journeyman challenge, I think it was on Football Manager. So this is like, it was crazy just seeing that happen.
Yeah.
So
That's another way to look at it, because I know on FM it's like, we call it FM, but like for me, we were talking about this the other day. How can you play as Manchester City?
Yes, the thing we sort of like to do is a smaller club and build the success, build like your style. Because if you do like a Man City or a PSG, you feel like the fundamentals are already there.
Yeah.
What do you build on, right?
I'm in Portugal now, actually, on my FM save. I made Casa Pia.
oh yeah.
And I was at the club with it's got like a tennis racket or badminton racket in there, Lexios or something.
Lechões.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was
Lechões,
there,
yeah.
and I was a fan favourite over there, but then
Yeah.
we left. And actually, I signed you on Football Manager as well. I must admit, I made a team of all the people I've interviewed. And
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How did I fare?
Yeah, you were decent. You were one of the only right backs I've interviewed, so you were up there.
Oh, nice,
And we
nice.
managed to get to Europe, but then my game crashed. So.
Oh no. Yeah. You gotta save it to the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So Finland is where you were, and I suppose where you are now. But we were talking that you were in Prague for a bit, right?
Yeah, so actually that 2024, of course I knew my baby was on the way. So it was a bit of a different scenario, a bit of a different situation. I had to start thinking about life like different from football as well. And then I had a job offer in Prague. However, the company that I was going to work for, it was a digital marketing agency, Maja Lucas, and the owner also owned the football club. So it was kind of something where I could do both. And I was also coaching their under-17s, which was like a really fun experience. And it was like a really hard decision. And I kind of spoke to Emilia and I decided, okay, I want maybe my last professional year could be Kajaani Haka. I would be happy with that. So I can go to Prague Raptors, work and play, and we can start thinking about like a different life. So that's kind of how the thought process around that and how that came about. And yeah, Prague's a beautiful city. I like Prague a lot. Yeah. And the food scene there was very nice, so I was quite happy. And Prague Raptors plays in the Phoenix Trophy that we were talking about before, of course. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to do, was to try the Phoenix Trophy as well. And I'm kind of like, I was really hoping that I end up going to play in like Montenegro or like something like really obscure, but I actually got FC United of Manchester, like 40 minutes from where I lived for like many years. And of course I had played against FC United before a couple of times. So I was kind of like, not disappointed. Like I liked FC United. I liked their facilities and everything, but I was kind of like hoping I could go try like a different country. And then I ended up coming back to where I'd been for so long, but it was all good.
We have the unique leagues on the podcast, right?
Yes.
So that fits quite nicely.
Yes.
We have a song that we do, and then we speak about some like weird and wacky leagues. Obviously, Montenegro will be up there. So how did you get picked then because it sounded like you didn't pick to go to Manchester?
I think it was like a draw. I think they do a draw. So the Phoenix Trophy does a draw, and then I think there was a lot of conditions where the first game can't be last year's final, or there's a lot of things like that. So we drew FC United first, so we went to play in Manchester, and then they came to play in Prague, and it was completely two different levels. I mean, Prague Raptors, quite a lot of the guys are playing for free, and then you have guys in FC United who might be like making quite a bit of money a week. So completely different. And I think like the year before they had played again as well, and they might have even had guys on loan from like Man City and everything. So
Wow.
it's completely big contrast on the levels, I think.
Of course.
And what was your return like back to England then? Were you pleased to see great England in front of you, or was it like, oh, just
Probably
I want to
not.
stay in Finland?
Yeah, it was one of those like rainy Manchester days,
Yeah.
cold, wet. But FC United's got a beautiful ground, so that was quite fun. And do you know what? The hospitality from their staff as well was so cool. They serve us like really nice food, and it was nice to just have a chat with them and like get to know a bit about their reality. So people that are really cool. So it was quite fun. I did enjoy it.
Do you know Ashley Coffey played in Finland? Like literally.
Yeah. He played for Asiolo actually,
That's
where
what I
I'm
was
living
gonna
now.
ask.
Yeah.
So is there a chance that you could get in the door there?
At Asiolo?
Yeah.
I think it would be quite difficult. I mean, they're just going through a transition period at the minute where they've just either sacked or he left. I'm not sure. It's the sporting director. In the beginning of the year, actually, I tried to get in touch with them and see like, oh, is there a possibility? Because they actually have the first team, the B team in the third tier, and then the third team in the fourth tier. So I thought about like trying to go over there, but then another team in the same league as their third team in the fourth tier, so Kakkonen. There was a chance to go there, so I kind of just took that as well. There's an English coach as well, so I'm obviously familiar with working with English coaches as well. So I thought that was a good option for the year. But Asiolo's it's a very like hard situation. I think it's hard to break into that team. They're signing a lot of foreign players at the minute as well.
I was going to ask about, because obviously you speak English, that's one tick. And with these players like Ashley Coffey, who's now in China, is there a potential that you could start your own podcast?
I've thought about this as well.
Yeah.
You know, the niche that I kind of thought of was the possibility about starting like an English podcast about Finnish football.
Yeah.
Because I love Finnish football.
There is one though, isn't there?
There's the Finnish football show,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
But I'm actually like not entirely sure what they're doing at the minute. Like I haven't followed it like so much recently, so I don't know if they just talk about like the leagues or how it is. But what I was thinking is just interviewing, like it might be Finnish players abroad, it might be like, but in English language as well, so we can try to get like more people onto it as well. And there's so many like interesting cases in Finnish football at the minute, and I like to talk about Gila, the football club that I was telling you about as well, that started as like a group of influencers and artists and like talents from so many different industries in Finland, and they've made this football team, and it's I think the most followed team in football at the minute. They were even on FIFA a couple of years ago. So there's a lot of like interesting dynamics to Finnish football.
For sure.
Not only have you played, you've also had a big impact off the pitch as well. So the sales and marketing lead at 11 Hype. So not only you obviously make an impact on the pitch, off the pitch as well, you're still producing big things.
Yeah, so 11 Hype started. It's actually like a really cool project. So what 11 Hype are trying to do is we're trying to create like we created a network for players, clubs, agents, scouts, coaches, like everybody to network, be in touch. But also we've developed a series of tools like coaching tools, and so coaching tools, scouting tools. We've got AI scouting tools as well. So the way we envision that to work is that clubs can upload their videos into the system and get an AI analysis of the game. So an analyst doesn't literally have to sit there for 5 to 6 hours analyzing the game. They can get all the actions. So you might be able to prompt it like, oh, show me how Brentford are building out from the back. And the video will show you how Brentford are building out from the back. So that's how, there's a lot of components to it. It's been like quite a lot of tough work. We've actually demoed to a couple of Premier League teams, couple Dutch First League teams, States, Canada. We signed a really big deal with the Nigerian Youth League Cup. So we're going to have 128 Nigerian teams come on board. And in exchange, we create their federation tools to keep track of the league and everything. It's hard work, but there's a lot going on. And for us, the priority is, of course, to help players. So we're helping clubs so we can, in the future, help players. That's how we're looking at it.
So in terms of your career then, I believe you've just signed for a club, right? Or going to this new...
Yeah, so I was at Herkules in Kakkonen. So that's the team I joined in Oulu. And then I actually, before the season even started, I had the possibility to go to third-tier teams and second-tier teams, but they were all down south. Emilia was like heavily pregnant at the time. The baby was like about to be born, and I don't think it wasn't like an easy transition. And then the baby was born, and she wanted to stay close to home, and it meant I had to like scramble an Oulu option like quite quickly. So I ended up at Herkules. But of course, the first couple of months of the baby are quite difficult. So it reached to the point where I was struggling with the travel, and we were like in the bottom, like towards the bottom of the table, which meant that the playoffs would have been in Vasa, Narpes, and actually the other team dropped out of the league, so we didn't have to go there. But it would have meant like 4 or 5 hours of travel, and I couldn't like do that anymore to Emilia. I couldn't do that anymore to the baby. I needed to be more present at home, and so I took the step to drop down a league to Finland Pojat, who again, an amazing club, big ambitions for the future. They're like talking about like putting a lot of effort into the next couple of years in their football to try and like start semi-professionalizing and then professionalizing the team eventually. So I thought I could help them off the pitch as well with trying to do things right, like towards their professionalization, so they don't end up like a lot of the teams that do too much too soon and then end, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the team I joined, and I finished the season with them.
Obviously, growing up, then you get some parents who are fully committed to the football side, and some of them the complete opposite. They're fully committed to the academical side and studying. So for you, is it a balance, or how did that sort of go for you?
Yeah, I like to joke with my dad about this actually, because my dad went through stages of being super committed, and then now you're not going to play football, you're going to study, you know. So there was like it was like stages where it was kind of both at the same time. But no, my parents were definitely like the biggest supporters of my football career. They like. Of course, it's not easy to drive a kid to game and then go to work or whatever, and then pick him up from school and take him to the games, and like wherever they were, it might have been the north of the country, the south of the country, everything. So they were like definitely what allowed me to actually pursue a career in professional football. I would have never been able without my parents. So, but of course, they also wanted me to study, and that was kind of the deal I had with my dad. You know, finish your university degree, finish your university masters, and at the same time, you can go enjoy professional football for as long as you want. So I promised them I'd do both, and I did both. And I actually like have designed my PhD now as well, and it's based around the contractual situation, the situation of football contracts in Finland and the governance of football in Finland. Back to those issues that I previously mentioned, that Finland needs to work out quite quick. So that's in the pipeline, I hope as well.
So now that you're obviously a father, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What's it been like for you, the transition into that?
So it was really hard to combine like 11 Hype, combine football, combine the parenthood. It is really difficult. I was lucky that Amelia is like so supportive. She's like super mom, just on it all the time. And there's times where I was traveling away with the team to play games in other cities, and she had to really like hold the fort at home. And I can imagine it was hard for her, but proper respect to her, and I'm really, really grateful, because without her I would have never been able to play any sort of football this year. So because it is hard, and sometimes like I remember one time we were playing against VPS Academy. So VPS's first team is in Premier League, Finnish Premier League, and then the VPS Academy is in our league. So they of course dropped quite a few players. So it's a difficult game, and they were one of the strongest teams I've seen play in Finland ever. So I'd slept like 3 or 4 hours because the baby was like crying all night, and just like I think maybe like teething, or maybe going through like some like stomach problems or something. Of course, only she knows. She can't tell us, but it was the kind of example that it's hard to step out of that and then go play a game of football. And that was like the only, like, not the only game I really felt exhausted, but the first game this year where I was like, oh, this is like probably might be unviable for the whole season. It's like quite hard, but it's difficult.
So last one from me then. What are the aims for the future and for next season? Obviously, do you aim to kick on, or do you think, obviously now with the baby being born, is it going to be sort of like more family committed?
Family always has to take priority, but I don't think that family should like exclude. It doesn't mean I can't play football. It just means I have to be conscious about the decisions I make. Would I like now go take a contract in Thailand or Saudi Arabia or something where I'd have to be away from my family? Probably not.
Yeah.
If it's like something where the whole family can do, I mean, it's quite easy to move around Finland. It's not like a massive issue. Of course, then there's that option. But as I said, we're looking at like stabilizing ourselves in Oulu. But there's always the possibility, take the house in Oulu and then go take a work apartment somewhere. And especially once the baby's like old enough to go to nursery and everything, which isn't long now. So it's open. Let's see.
Of course.
So obviously, sort of building off from your question are you finished in football or finished?
Finished. Yeah.
Is there still room for you to keep going somewhere in the pipeline?
I mean, I'm like acceptant of whatever comes my way. I have it actually written on my shin pad. Everything happens for a reason. I believe everything happens for a reason. if my life path now is family and out off the pitches, and I can live with that. I've like already played the Premier League. I've already been promoted in the 3rd league in Portugal. Like I've gone through like a couple different countries. I've enjoyed life. I met like so many cool people. I think that's the best thing about football is like all the people that you meet along the way. Even like guys like you guys. If I hadn't played, I wouldn't have had the chance to be here and have this conversation with you today. So I think I've done a lot. Like I'm happy with it. But if like somebody calls me tomorrow and says, "Oh, I have this amazing project. You can come. You can play. You can help like in the back office, maybe like share some ideas," I wouldn't say no. Probably, you know. I'm still 27, so it doesn't mean that it has to finish now. I think everything you can find a way of doing.
Still got
everything.
10 more years left.
Oh my God, 10 more years. Ronaldo's going to be like 65 and still playing, isn't he? So
It's got nothing on you, I'm sure. But look, Jose, I really appreciate you joining us today. Harry's probably thinking he said handshakes.
Well, I'm thinking that, but it's been fantastic, really.
No, it has.
Thank you so much. It's
flown in from Finland.
It's been brilliant, yeah.
Actually, Portugal.
Yeah.
But look, we do a handshake, so the camera's there, right? So I think it's probably better you two can do it first.
Okay.
Right? If you want a handshake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Jose. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much, Jay.
And of course, Harry.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, guys, honestly, for having me, and thank you so much for your amazing work. What you're doing is like it's incredible, and I love keeping track of it. So
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
everything,
you,
guys.
yeah.